Okay, the last part that we need to look at for this project is going to be the animations. There are two different styles of animations that we're going to create for this, and they're part of the tail end of the tutorial that we have for this project. The place that you're going to be uploading these are going to be, or uploading this portion is going to be here on assignment 1 animations, and I'll let you know exactly what you're going to be uploading file wise. So to do this, you want to open up Creo, you want to set your working directory, and then open up this model. So this is going to be the completed model. So you can't do the animation until you have everything put all together. So now that we have everything put together, and it's just the assembly model, you don't need the assembly drawing done, just the assembly model. So to add these, what I want to do is I want to show you how to follow along at the end here so that if you are working on it, you have this as a reference. So we're going to look at adding the animation, and the animation is going to be found in the applications of Creo. So going back to Creo over here, you're going to notice at the top there is the applications tab. And then under applications tab, you're going to see that there's animation here. So we're going to click on animation. So now what happens is it goes into this animation mode. And what we want to do is we want to turn that crankshaft, and then we're going to see our piston, move back and forth. So we can see what happens, through that process. Okay. So if we go back underneath, we'll kind of follow along with this tutorial. We went to the applications, we went to animation, and now we see this portion of the screen here. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to define our animation. Okay. So the type of animation that we're going to do is we are going to do a snapshot animation. So we're first going to start a new animation, and then we're going to pick snapshot animation underneath. So I'm going to go back to Creo. We're going to do new animation, and we're going to go underneath and choose snapshot animation. Okay. And what we want to do is we want to name this. This is a new one that we're going to add. We want to name this, it says key frame. Okay, all one word, and we're going to hit OK. And now what you're going to notice is under the animation tab over here, under our part, you're going to see that we added this keyframe animation. The one that's here, animation 1, is kind of like a default that they just have when you go in, and you can do it. It's like an explode function, but we're just going to hit delete here. Actually, right click and just hit delete, because we're going to create 2 of them. One is going to be keyframe, and the other one is going to be a servo motor. Okay. All right. So that takes us to the bottom of page 1322. So we deleted out that first one there that was as a default. Okay. So we're going to go to we're going to create our first animation here using this, this keyframe. So to do that, we're going to start by identifying our bodies. Now, pretty much everything in our model is individual pieces except for our connecting rod and the end cap. So I'm going to zoom in here, the connecting rod and the end cap. We want these two to move together. So we need to identify those as one body and not two. Chris, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, if we wanted to, would we be able to make an animation of it, like actually exploding and like separating?
You could, yeah. And that would be that explode one. Yeah. So now what we're going to do is we are going to make these 2 parts the same. So we need to identify rigid body definition. Okay. Rigid body definition. So right now we see this, you see mine as 1, 2, and 3. I need to, you don't have to do this. I need to edit it, and I want to have the number of parts 2. Okay. Oopsie. Number 2, edit. Number of parts 1. Oopsie.
Mine is that the book assuming that it's split every single part.
Right.
Probably just the version 3.
Okay, wait a second. Creo, right here. Yeah. Do you have this ground 1, 2, 3? Right. And then, well, if you end up having 4 separate bodies, so for instance, you're going to notice number 1 is our crankshaft. Number 2 it actually has both of these together. Okay. Oh, and then number 3 has the piston. Now, if yours came in as a 4th one where it was the connecting rod and the end cap are separate, we want to 1 part per body. What we're going to find is, I need to delete this one. I'll remove that one. Yes. If you have a number 4 here, you're going to have an end cap separate from your connecting rod. Does anybody have that? Or do you just have 1, 2, 3s? Who has a 4? Does anybody have nobody does? Okay. Well, then I'm going to put mine back together. So I need to do, edit number of parts. I want it to be 2. Number 2. 1 part per. Okay, so just confirming that you have 3 bodies here and that number 1 is going to be the crankshaft, number 2 is going to be combined together, the connecting rod and the end cap. And number 3 is going to be the piston with the ground being the base on the background. If you have a number 4 here, you would need to, you just want to go through and you want to make sure that you connect the connecting rod and the end cap by hitting edit. And then I'm going to hit close here since they're good. If you don't do that and connect the end cap and the connecting rod, what's going to happen is it is going to they're going to move separate. Okay. And they won't be together. So if you have parts that you need to move together, you want to make sure that you can create those as rigid body definitions. Now that we have that done, let's catch ourselves up on our tutorial. Now what we want to do is we are going to create our first animation. Okay. So we're going to start at the top. We're going to do keyframe sequence and we're going to keep the default name in there. And then we are going to start by creating our different snapshots. So we're going to go back over here. We're going to do a keyframe sequence, right? And now this box is going to open up. Okay. So it's going to give you a default of keyframe sequence 1, which is totally fine. You can leave that. Then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to click on the camera. So we're going to grab the camera and then we're going to expand out our snapshots. This is where we're actually going to capture them. And this is in the tutorial that you have here, each one of these steps. Now what we're going to do is we're going to click on the camera again to take a snapshot, and this is going to be snapshot 1. Now, to get snapshot 1, what we're going to do is we're going to take it from where it's at right now. We're going to left click, and I'm going to zoom in here on the edge, the front edge of our camshaft. We're going to click on it, and it activates it. I clicked and I released. I'm not clicking and dragging, okay? Then you'll notice that as I just rotate this, I'm hovering and I'm just moving it. I'm going to try to rotate it from where it was at about 15 degrees. And then I'm going to left click again. And what happened is it took snapshot 1. Now I want to take another snapshot. I'm going to left click on the camera, take another snapshot. Snapshot 2 appears. I'm going to go back down, left click, rotate a little bit more and left click again. And now it took snapshot number 2. Then I'm going to hit snapshot number 3, toggle to the next one, left click, rotate, and left click again to stop it. Snapshot number 4, left click, rotate, and click again. Snapshot number 5. And what you want to get in here, each one of the snapshots is about a second long, is what they say. And I'm going to continue to rotate around. I'm just going to zoom out here a little bit. Oops. Snapshot 7, left click that same area, rotate again a little bit. Snapshot 8, left click, rotate, snapshot 9. And whether you get 9 or 10 or 8, oopsie, doesn't really matter. So it's a left click, not a left click drag. It's a left click, then move, then left click again. And try to get kind of back here. to relatively close to where you had started. And that's about where I'm at. Okay, so I ended up with about 11 snapshots within that time frame. Okay, or one rotation. So then I'm just going to say close, and then just make sure that you're linear and linear, which are the defaults. And then you can just hit OK. And now it's in there. Now what we want to do is we just want to click on that generate. And when we do that, hit OK, it goes around and you can see that that's the sequence that it took. To play it back as kind of a movie, what we want to do is we want to hit create. And then we can hit playback. Creating like saves it if you would. And then now you're going to get the play buttons like you would on any other sort of like, I don't know, recorder type of a device. And now you're going to notice I can do play, and it's going to take the time, and it's going to kind of go through here, and it's going to show 10 seconds of rotation, and then it's going to start over again. You can adjust the speed by this, you know, like bar so that it goes faster. You can stop it at any point. You can play it back in reverse if you want to and such. Okay. And then you can hit stop. Now, a couple things that they have you do, or just one more thing that they have you do in here is we're going to go back to create. And we're going to hover over the timeline here. Right now, my timeline is 10 seconds, which is fine. I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to edit time domain. Now it's over the timestamp here, not over the line up here. It's over this one, edit time domain. And then this is where you're telling it where you want to stop and end. Right now, my default is ending at 10 seconds. If you didn't get a full, because the duration is 10 seconds, if you didn't get at least 10 snapshots within there, then it might stop at like 8 seconds. And what you want to do then is put the end time to however many snapshots you ended up taking. So for me, I ended up actually taking 11 seconds. Okay. And then I can hit apply. Okay. And then I thought I did 11. So now I can do a playback and I can click on it. And again, I like going a little bit faster than what they have here. If you get to the end of the 10, looks a little smoother. So that's how you can adjust that. Okay. So I'm going to hit a stop here. Now I have this particular type of animation already done. So the only thing that we need to do to save it is to do a save right here to the left of the create button is this like little disc. So we're going to click on that. And all you want to do, this capture menu is going to come up and you're going to call it a file name and you want to browse to where you want that to go. Okay. And it should go right to your working directory. It's not a bad idea to verify that. And you'll notice that it's right here at 2100 MPG and you're going to hit OK. Oops. Did I need to put a new file? Nope. Nope. You can call it whatever you want, whatever the default is in there, because it's going to have a .mpg. What was that? MPG is the final file format. Yeah, because then I can replay it on my movie thing. Yes. So if we go here, the save is to the left. So make sure that you go on, playback. You got it now? Yeah, it's under playback. And then before you hit the create is when you're going to hit that save. And then it's going to be capture. You can pretty much leave everything here. It's going to take the file name from whatever your assembly is called, the model. And then it's just going to add the MPG. You can save it as a couple other types of file formats, but MPG works totally fine for me. And then you can leave the resolution and then just hit OK. And it's going to save it to, it's going through that process. It's going to save it to that working directory. Okay. Once you have this one in here, we want to create the second one. So there's two different animations. So the first one is done, which is the keyframe. And I just want to catch us up here. We did the time domain. And now we're going to do a servo motor. So on page 1330 starts the next type of animation. So I'm going to go underneath here. The second type of animation that we're going to look at is a servo motor animation. We're going to start by hitting new animation, but then we're going to do the servo motor for the names. So I'm going to go back to Creo. Now, you're going to go back to create. Okay. So if you're in the playback mode, you're going to see all of this extra stuff here. We just want to go back to create. And now our menu kind of becomes available to us because we want to hit new animation. Don't use the pull down this time. Just click on the actual camera. And our new animation is going to be called servo motor, all one word. Okay. And now you'll notice that it creates it down below that keyframe. The next thing we're going to do then is last time we looked at a keyframe sequence, we instead are going to be looking at servo motor. So if we click on servo motor, right now we have the reference of the driven entity. And what we want to do is we want to go down into our model, kind of rotate it around a little bit. And we want this axis right here to be the driving axis. So we need to click on, I'm going to kind of try to go in here a little closer, this icon right here. Click on that. And you're going to get connection first rotation axis. Okay. So make sure it's that one right there, because that's basically the axis that is rotating around to control the rotation of the entire assembly. So we want that axis right here, not the one above. You want the one below. Okay. Then we're going to go to profile details. And in here, we need to specify what we want that servo motor to do. So we want to specify how it should go around angularly. So instead of angular position, we're going to go down to angular velocity. Okay. And then we're going to change the degrees per second down here where we see coefficient. We're going to change that from 0 to 36. So 36 degrees per second. That's just how fast it's going around. So every second, it's going to go 36 degrees. And then the next second, so that by the time it gets all the way around, it's going to take about 10 seconds to get all the way around for one rotation. Okay. And then you'll notice that you should have your green OK available to click. Before setting that up, it's going to be gray. So now we can hit OK when that's green. And now we're simply going to click in the middle here, that generate button. And we can then click the playback after we do the generate. And now we can run it through, and you can speed it up here. I like to make it a little bit faster. But now you're going to notice that it goes through the full 10 seconds. This is a little bit smoother. It is a smoother, not a little bit. It's a smoother application of the animation. In the keyframe, you're just taking snapshots and it's kind of like filling in the gaps, Here, you're actually setting it to how fast it's going to be rotating, and it's going in a continuous motion manner over 10 seconds. So that is the servo motor. So we can hit stop here. And then this is where we can do a capture. You can save this one. If you want to rename it so that you do an underscore servo motor. And then you can just hit OK because it's going to save it then to the working directory. Once you have those two in place, you're going to go, or I should say first, does anybody have any questions at this point, creating those two animations? And you're going to see the two located right down here. Okay. So now what you want to do is you're going to go to the assignment 1 animations. You're going to click on it, and then you're going to, well, I see it differently than you guys. You guys can select a folder that you can upload to, right? Or select a file you can upload. So then you just want to navigate to your working directory, and you want to pick those two MP4s and upload them here to the assignment. Okay. One is like, if you want to keep it as the keyframe, the normal model name, and then one is going to have servo motor in back of it. Okay. So those two versions are what you want to upload here. All right. So any questions? Now, before you leave Creo, all you want to do is you want to hit in the animations mode here, you want to hit close. you can just hit save. Yes. Save. And then the last thing you want to do is just close out normally like you would in Creo. So I'm going to do a quick save here. Yes. And then I'm going to manage my file, delete old versions. Yes. Then I can close, and then I can do my manage session, erase not displayed. Okay. And now I should be all set to start something new if I wanted to. All right. So I will stop the recording.